What is this antique paddle thingamy? My mum passed away recently, and this was in her possessions. This is just a flat wooden thing without any head on it, and I think it's too blunt-ended and big to be a paper knife. Any suggestions? It's a Victorian page turner. At a time when literacy was a privilege, page turners were often handcrafted from exotic and costly materials, affordable only to the wealthy. These fabulous page turners have been used for centuries to prevent the reader's hands from damaging and soiling the pages of expensive books and rare manuscripts, preventing damage to delicate pages. Such manuscripts and paper media were copied by hand, often accompanied by exquisite drawings and pictorial calligraphy. Later, they were used for newspapers, as well as to open double pages without a sharp knife. As you will see, they have rounded or square ends, not sharp ends. I got this thing in the back of my yard, about 100 yards from the house. It looks like a galvanized pipe, maybe 2 inches in diameter and about 3 feet tall with something on top. It sits in some bushes at the property line. I have no idea what it is or what it looks like under the ground. Any ideas? It's definitely the base for a 1920s pitcher pump. It can pump water from a depth of 20 to 24 feet. That might even be a rather shallow well at the bottom end of the pipe. I just replaced my gaskets this year and recognized it right away. This was with an auction lot I purchased containing a large amount of wine and champagne-related items. Mostly antique corkscrews, but also items for corking and sealing bottles. The collection was extensive with a lot of valuable and rare items, but mixed in with far more mundane bits and pieces. I put this to one side because I have no clue what it is. Perhaps a match pot, but there's no striking surface. Any ideas are appreciated. The wax seal is that of Dom Benedictine. Dom stands for Dio Optimo Maximo, meaning, to God, most good, most great. Benedictine monks once drank it as an elixir to help them get through the day. As for the mystery item, it's a green Benedictine liqueur glass, made in France in the 1970s. Here are similar ones with handles, and of the same height of 4.8 centimeters. What is this thing on a monument in Israel? We saw this while walking in David Square at the intersection of Jaffa Road, Street of the Prophets, and Pine Street in West Jerusalem. It's all made of metal and approximately 4 feet tall. Any ideas? That's a Davidka, also known as Little David or Made by David. It was a homemade Israeli mortar used in Safed and Jerusalem during the 1947 to 1949 Palestine War. Its bombs were reported to be extremely loud, but very inaccurate and otherwise of little value beyond terrifying opponents. They proved particularly useful in scaring away both Arab soldiers and civilians. It was named for its inventor, David Leibowitz. 6 Davidkas were manufactured in all. One of them stands in Jerusalem's Davidka Square, memorializing the Harel Brigade's participation in the battle for Jerusalem. The Hebrew inscription on the monument is from the Book of 2 Kings, meaning, "For I will defend this city, to save it," where God miraculously saves Jerusalem in honor of King David, the namesake of the weapon. This thing isn't adding up. I found this on my grandfather's desk. I'm not entirely sure how this works, or how it would have been typically used and when. He was an engineer in the 40s to the 70s, so before portable calculators were really a thing. Any ideas? It's an Adiator Universal Pocket adding machine. These things were very popular. Were in production from the 1920s until the 1980s. In a time when adding machines were big and very expensive, this kind of thing would have been really attractive to some people. The Adiator is a descendant of a basic design by Frenchman Louis Tronchet that he patented in 1889. He called it the arithmograph. To add numbers, you stick your stylus in towards the top and you slide it down. You can see the answer in the red numbers, and pulling the bar handle at the top will reset it to all zeros. They call it the world's smallest precision adding machine. What could these be? It was found by a friend amongst a box of miscellaneous items when clearing out a deceased relative's garage and was curious as to what they could be. Size is about 10 millimeters in height and 20 millimeters in diameter. They have a button style to them and some floral designs. They are in a presentation style box, so clearly have a specific purpose. They also seem like a sort of cheapish metal that just been fashioned. Any ideas? Those are Victorian shirt or collar studs in their original fitted box. That sort of shaped fitted case would be more expensive than the studs nowadays. The studs are of the push-through variety. The ends do not unscrew. My mum found these in an old house. They are made of sturdy wood and have gears. Approximately 4.5 by 1.5 by 3.5 inches. I'm curious about what the bottom piece is for. Any ideas? They are 1920s weaving loom shuttles, likely for a ribbon loom. The bottom piece is the guide. One of those would be mounted to the beam on either side of the reed. The mechanism of the loom moves a toothed rack back and forth inside the beam. The gears in your guide transfers that motion to the shuttle, and it passes the shuttle back and forth between the two guides and through the open warp. What is this arch with numbers at the top of this grandfather clock? This is a very old clock at an antique store, and I notice it has numbers from 1 to 29, so probably a whole month cycle. But what is it for? That is a moon dial. It shows the phase of the moon. A couple of hundred years ago, when grandfather clocks were popular, some of the more expensive ones had a moon phase. The moon dials consist of a round disc, displaying two pictures of the moon that moves, showing the lunar date and position of the moon in the sky. It slowly moves clockwise, following the 29.5-day lunar cycle. So every day, the clock moves the moon dial ahead one notch. The primary lunar phases are the new moon, the first quarter, the full moon, and the last quarter. I found this in my grandfather's World War II mementos. He was stationed in Saipan. It's a piece of paper with planes on it and some Japanese writings. I'm posting from my phone and can't figure out how to add a photo of the back. But the back is covered in Japanese writing as well. I'm wondering if it was a propaganda. Any ideas? Please let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. Let's make life fun.